A couple of years ago, I set out to create something special. I wanted to create a writers' conference that wasn't focused on learning how to write, but instead focused on how to sell the book. And the Novel Marketing Conference was born. I've been speaking at writers' events for 15 years, and I've spoken at conferences all over the world. And during those years, I've had a lot of ideas. And so the Novel Marketing Conference has become an opportunity for me to put those innovative ideas to practice, to see which ones work and which ones don't work. And each year we survey the attendees and make refinements. And I'm happy to announce that the tickets for the Novel Marketing Conference 2026 are now for sale. So what makes this conference different? Well, for one, there's no recording and no streaming. One thing I noticed at writers' conferences is that everything is recorded. And in my experience, recording the conference reduces the quality of the live experience, only to produce a low quality recording. The recording constrains the experience and the interactivity. Once all the recordings are turned off, everything changes. Attendees show up on time. They take notes, and the presentations become way more interactive. And in that interactivity, people are more comfortable to speak freely. The presence of a microphone pushes most of the value of the conference from the recorded sessions into the unrecorded hallway. People come to conferences to confer, and microphones make conferring unnecessarily scary. Plus, the recorded lectures were never very appealing. Typically, only the speaker has a microphone. You can't see the slides or hear any of the interactivity with the other students. And attendees would buy the recordings, promise themselves they would listen to them later, and then never get around to it, which really undermined the overall value of the conference, at least from an educational perspective. So at Author Media, we let live be live and recorded be recorded. We have the Novel Marketing Podcast that is professionally pre-recorded every week, and we have the Novel Marketing Conference, which is 100% live. If you miss it, you miss out. Another big difference between this conference is that we go to great pains to make a big conference feel small. The most important thing about attending a conference is about who you connect to. And we've done some really cool things in that regard. The first, and by far the most popular with authors who filled out the survey, is the writers groups. We place each author in a writers group of similar authors, and that's their group for the whole conference. This is the group you'll do your workshops with. This is the group you'll share your ideas with, and you really get to know the other authors in your group. The goal is to foster deeper connections and make the conference less overwhelming, particularly for shy authors. Previous attendees have loved being in a group with similar authors. This is one of the most kind of iconic elements of this particular conference. But we also give you plenty of chances to connect with everyone else at the conference. So it's not like you're just stuck with your writers group. After every session, there's a 15-minute coffee break. And there's lots of chances to take a break, to breathe, or to meet brand new people. Like at lunch, right? We have lunch tables that have themes, and you can sit around a table around your theme and meet brand new people focused around that theme. But what I found is that networking isn't about knowing a lot of people, it's about knowing the right people really well. And that's what we try to create with the writers groups. Another thing that makes this conference different is the workbook. Each attendee gets an old school paper workbook to accompany the conference. Each session is filled with interactive things to fill out, questions to answer, and notes to jot down and remember. And at the end of the conference, you're going to have a 100-page strategy guide packed with next steps and tips for you to supercharge your book sales. Previous attendees have loved the workbook, and I find that in this AI world, sometimes going the other way, a very offline way, a very tangible way, a very real way, really makes a difference. So you'll be learning about cutting edge strategies, but you'll be writing them down on dead trees with a pen and paper. The other thing that I really have focused on in this conference is about being cost effective. And I want to explain what I mean by that. Hollywood has shown us that spending more money on something doesn't necessarily make it good. And something cheap doesn't necessarily make it bad. Many of us prefer the older, cheaper films to the newer, more expensive ones, at least the more expensive ones to produce. All of that CG doesn't necessarily make it a better movie. And this conference is built around cost effectiveness. So let me explain what I mean by that. First, there's no appointment room. Writers' conferences are incredibly expensive to host, and it only takes one bad year for the conference to go out of business. And the biggest cost is in facilities and faculty. The agents and editors are a draw for beginning authors, But just because someone is a talented agent or editor, it doesn't mean that they're a good teacher. Now, there are some that are both good at their job and good at teaching, but this is rare. And the main reason editors and agents are there is not to teach, but to take appointments. This creates a conference within a conference. There's the regular conference with presentations and lectures, and then the speed dating room, where agents and editors meet with authors. Flying in enough people to fill the speed dating room is very expensive. And established authors and indie authors often have no reason to ever go to the appointment room. So it adds cost without adding any value, at least for indie authors and more advanced authors. Now, the appointment room does really appeal to authors at the very beginning of their careers. And so conferences that focus on the appointment room tend to attract very beginning level authors. And because there's so many agents and editors there for appointments, they tend to teach most of the workshops, which gives those writers' conferences a traditional publishing focus. Sometimes unintentionally, but it's inevitable if all of the presenters, or almost all of the presenters, make money in traditional publishing. This is despite the fact that most authors at most conferences end up going indie. And for indie authors, the pitch room adds cost without adding value. Now, some people ask if the Novel Marketing Conference is for indie authors, and the answer is that it's for both traditional and indie authors. But if you're an indie, you won't feel overcharged, excluded, or condescended to. So it'll feel like it's a conference for you, but we've had many traditionally published authors who also feel like it's a conference for them. Another thing that we do to make this conference cost effective is that there are no breakouts. At the Novel Marketing Conference, I book speakers based on one criteria. How good are they at teaching the topic they're presenting on? That's it. I don't book anyone I haven't personally vetted through a podcast interview or by listening to them present. I personally pick the topics, vet the presenters, and work with them on their presentation. My goal is for every session to be keynote level quality. And because of this, all of the presentations are worthy to be in the big room for everyone. With just one big room, there's no three-ring circus, no breakout sessions or appointments or distracting coming and going. We want sessions so good you don't want them to stop because they're packed with encouraging aha moments that you won't want to miss. Now, let me be clear. I'm not against appointment rooms. And if you're just getting started and you're looking for an agent, an appointment room is exactly what you want. But this is our opportunity to zig where the other conferences are zagging. This difference makes the Novel Marketing Conference a perfect companion to the traditional writing conference that you've already been to or that you plan to go to. There's no other conference like this conference, and that's a good thing, but it does mean that we're not for everyone. I want this to be a conference that's still appealing for advanced authors. So if you're just getting started, you're welcome to come, but realize that you'll be surrounded by professionals, which is part of the appeal. The third thing that makes writers' conferences expensive to host is the venue. Hosting conferences at 5-star hotels is expensive. The kind of hotel with conference space tends to be a 4 or 5-star hotel where the rooms are $300 a night and Wi-Fi and breakfast are extra. Plus, the hotel insists on a monopoly on the food, which adds additional unnecessary cost. Our venue is the Fickett Center in Austin, Texas. It's nice, but it's not opulent. It's across the parking lot from a Marriott Spring Hill Suites, which is a 3-star hotel that provides a suite, breakfast, and Wi-Fi for $100 a night. The suites can comfortably hold 2 or 3 people. Could we pick a more opulent venue for 3 times the cost? Sure. Would it improve the quality of what you learned at the conference? No. Would it improve the quality of the attendees? I doubt it. So we are being cost effective. That's our goal. Another reason why this conference is cost effective is because it's outside of the busy season. One reason I'm able to get such a good deal on the hotel is because we host the conference in January, which is a slow season for conferences. Austin, Texas is often sunny and pleasant in January, but it's still a slow season for events, which makes airfare cheap as well. January is one of the cheapest months to fly. But I don't see January as a bug. I see it as a feature. I love hosting conferences in January, and not just because of the weather, it's because they can double as planning retreats. I recommend booking an extra night at the hotel to be alone, to go over your notes, your workbook, and your plan for the year. Maybe even do some writing with all that inspiration you just received at the conference. I know professional authors who will book hotels just for the focus, undistracted work. And the Spring Hill Suites that's next door has a desk that's perfect for this kind of focused work. A bit of silence and planning can make all of the difference. So the hotel's $100 a night. How much is the conference? Well, that depends. The conference is flexible. We have 3 kinds of tickets at 3 different price points. We have super tickets, standard tickets, and gallery tickets. The standard ticket comes with lunch, a seat at a table, and placement with a writer's group. This is by far the most popular ticket. A gallery ticket comes with lunch and a seat in the back. It does not come with a writer's group, and it's the cheapest option. And then the super ticket is the standard ticket with the table, the writer's group, and the lunch, plus a pre-conference website workshop. The pre-conference workshop extends the conference from a 2-day conference to a 3-day conference. And during the pre-conference website workshop, you will work on your website all day with our help. I will be there reviewing websites and giving feedback, and then you will open up your laptop and implement the feedback. If you need help or get stuck, just raise your hand and me or another webmaster will come and get you unstuck. One intense day of work is often enough to make an author website shine, especially if you have expert assistance, which you'll have at the pre-conference workshop. The first time we did this, a couple of authors built a website from scratch during the pre-conference workshop, and they used the roaming experts to help them do that. And you could do that this year, but I recommend going through my free course on building author websites. Go do that course ahead of time so that you can get the most value out of the workshop. So the super ticket is the most limited ticket. Patrons who've had early access to buy tickets have already started snapping them up. And as I record this, there's only 16 super tickets remaining. The pre-conference workshop is a smaller, more intimate experience. I can only help so many people with their websites. So how much does the conference cost? Well, super tickets are $9.99, standard tickets are $5.99, and gallery tickets are $3.99. But that is the standard pricing. If you want to save even more money, you can sign up during the early bird window, which drops the price of super tickets down to $8.99, standard tickets to $4.99, and gallery tickets cost just $299. That's right. You could attend the Novel Marketing Conference for as little as $299 if you get an early bird gallery seat. But you could also spend as much as $9.99 if any super tickets are still around after the early bird window closes at the end of September. Oh, one more thing. During checkout, you will have the opportunity to get my course, Author Email Academy, for 80% off. This is a massive discount on that course. The Author Email Academy normally costs $500, and this drops the price to just $100. So if you've been thinking about signing up for the Author Email Academy, you could get a gallery ticket and discounted Author Email Academy course, all for less than the cost of the Author Email Academy at the regular price. And going through the Author Email Academy is also a really great way to prepare for the conference ahead of time. So get your early bird ticket now, go through the Author Email Academy at your own pace, and you'll be really well set to have 2026 be an incredible year for your book sales. So let's talk about the schedule real quick. And this actually leads me to another conference innovation, and that is red years and blue years. Now, the conference has 2 versions, blue and red. Even years are blue, odd years are red, and there's no repeat sessions one year to the next. So if you attend a blue year, the next year will be a red year, and 100% of the sessions will be new. Now, if you came back a third year, it would be a blue year again, and some of the topics would repeat. Marketing is constantly changing, and every session is updated, but there's a big difference between an updated session you've already heard and a session that's 100% new. So if you came to the Novel Marketing Conference last year, 100% of the sessions will be 100% new this year. All right, so now let's talk about the schedule. And I'll say this is a tentative schedule. We're continuing to tweak the schedule, and you can see those tweaks and the current version of the schedule at novelmarketingconference.com. So Thursday, January 29th, 2026 is the pre-conference. It starts at 9 a.m. where we start at the website workshop. It's very interactive, lots of coming and going. There's lunch at noon that's provided as a part of the pre-conference, and then that concludes at 5 p.m. Now at 7 p.m. is the patrons-only ice cream social. I should explain what this means. This is at the same venue as the conference, but it's not technically part of the conference. So if you're not coming to the Novel Marketing Conference, you can still come to the patrons-only ice cream social for free. All you have to be is a patron. So this is my annual event, a way of thanking patrons and giving them a chance to meet each other. We had really incredible feedback from this last year. The only complaint was that there was so many authors talking so much that it was too loud. So we've moved to a larger venue. It's the same venue as the main conference so that you can talk and hear each other more easily. So that's at 7 p.m. Then on Friday, the 30th, registration opens at 8 and we have our opening keynote at 9:15, followed by a coffee break. Then is my session, Crafting an Irresistible Author Brand. followed by another coffee break. Then is my session, which is a branding writers group breakout. So this is a really interactive session, the kind of session I couldn't do if things were recorded. When we did this 2 years ago, it got just incredible feedback. You're going to love it. It's very fun. And then immediately after that session is lunch. So you can have coffee at the lunch if you want to, but we'll have lunch then. We'll have table themes. And so you can sit at a themed table and attendees vote on what they want the table themes are. And we'll have hosts that are experts in that topic who kind of host the table. But you also can just sit by yourself or at a table that has no theme. You're an adult and it's a free country. Then at 1:15 is my session, How to Spend Less Time on Marketing. This is a session that's all about how to be effective with your marketing, working on what matters, not working on what doesn't matter, and figuring out what will work specifically for you, playing to your strengths and your weaknesses. There's a coffee break after that, followed by a breakout session where you will, with the help of your group, identify those strengths and weaknesses. So it's very interactive. It's a very popular session. And then after the end of that is a coffee break. Now, I will say these group breakout sessions, sometimes it's up to you as a group. Sometimes they go into the coffee break a little bit. It's your time. The coffee break time is your time. And then at 3:15, Jonathan Sugar is presenting on Amazon page optimization. So 80% of book sales happen on Amazon. The quality of your Amazon page affects all of your other marketing. This is a very important session, and I'm very optimistic that Jonathan will do a good job and not embarrass me during this session. I will say he presented 2 years ago at the last Blue conference. He was with a publishing house, and they paid for a sponsorship, a lunch sponsorship, and he did a great job. It was really good. So I'm very optimistic about this. Then a coffee break, and then finally, we're either going to have a faculty Q&A panel or a breakout panel. I have some innovative panel ideas that I'm stewing on, or we'll have a live airing of author update. So I haven't decided quite what to do with this final session, and we may let attendees vote. So there's a community that comes with the conference. So as soon as you get your ticket, you get access to a special conference-only community on authormedia.social, and you get to influence what the conference is like. Then on Saturday, January 31st, coffee starts at 8:15. So if you want to come early and network, you can. The hotel will have breakfast, so you can eat at the hotel, or you can come and get coffee. We won't have breakfast at the event though, so eat before you come. Then at 9 o'clock, Jamie Foley is presenting on best-selling book covers. This is a really important topic, even if you're traditionally published, because trad authors often have influence, if not control, over their covers. But often traditionally published authors aren't listened to because they're advocating for the cover being beautiful rather than for the cover being best-selling. And this is one of those things that if you don't know, you often don't know that you don't know. What matters about a cover is that it compels people to buy, and a beautiful cover often doesn't do that. So it's more important that it's appealing and intriguing and entices somebody to pull it off the shelf, to click on Amazon and then go on to buy. And Jamie Foley has worked in covers for years and years, both with traditionally published authors and with independently published authors. She really knows what she's talking about. This is a session we've been trying to do for years, and we're finally going to have it happen in 2026. Then a coffee break. And then after that, Zachary Russell, host of the Lorehaven podcast, is presenting on the art of the parking lot podcast interview. This is a session based off of one I gave a couple of years ago, where we're going to teach you how to be a podcast guest, the kind of podcast guest that podcast hosts want to have back. But we're also going to teach you how to be a podcast host. We're going to teach you both sides of the conversation. Why? Well, after the coffee break, I'm going to do a podcast guesting workshop. In this workshop, you're going to practice being a podcast guest, being interviewed about your book. You're also going to practice being a podcast host. So you'll have gotten some really solid experience for being both a host and a guest. That will mean that your next For Reals podcast interview is much more polished because you are much more practiced. Then we have lunch, and then after lunch is session 11, which is to be announced. I may give early ticket holders some options to vote. So we'll have a few topics you can vote on for what you want for session 11. Then we have a coffee break. And then Lori Christine at 2:15 is presenting on how to grow your email list with reader super magnets. Lori has been very effective at growing her list with email super magnets, and she's going to share her secrets in that presentation. Then we have a coffee break followed by a faculty panel Q&A. And then we'll have another coffee break followed by my session on AI-powered productivity in 2026. So I'm going to talk about how you can use AI to make yourself more productive. so that you have more time to write. This is not a how to write your book with AI session. This is how to be productive so you can spend more time writing session, and it will be filled with cutting edge breaking news on AI. I haven't even started preparing this session because I know so much is changing. So it'll be cutting edge when it's ready. And then at 5:15 we have the closing and we will conclude. There's something special about meeting in person. In this world of online everything, it's easy to forget how important in-person connection is. Sharing a meal with a fellow author is a powerful and transformative act. If success were just about what you knew, listening to this podcast would be all you need. But success is also about who you know. And the best place to make new friends is in the real world. We sent out a survey at the end of every conference, and last year, 100% of survey respondents said that they were glad they came to the conference. I don't know if we'll be able to do 100% every year, but I was really excited to see that incredibly positive feedback. People were so glad they came. I have one testimonial to share with you. Suzanne Delzio said, the Novel Marketing Conference drilled down to exactly what works in marketing, both independently and traditionally published books. Thomas and the other speakers have the experience to share what works in a high competitive book business in an AI age. It's changing fast, and the novel marketing team is current with every crazy change. It was great to meet other writers and hear about what's worked and what hasn't for them. This is a reasonably priced conference that punches above its weight, led by people who research every recommendation and trend. Thank you, Suzanne, for that really kind testimonial. And I will say, in this AI age, sometimes the best way to adapt to AI is by going offline, by going to pen and paper, by meeting people in real life. So that human connection is so important, more important than ever before. If you're still trying to decide whether you want to come to the conference, I encourage you to ask someone who's gone to one of the previous years and ask them what they thought and if they think the conference would be a good fit for you. With how much our previous attendees loved the conference, I'm very confident in saying that you could talk to anybody you want to who went to a previous year. If you'd like to grab a ticket to the 2026 Novel Marketing Conference, go to novelmarketingconference.com. That's novelmarketingconference.com. The Novel Marketing Podcast is a production of authormedia.com, and you can find the blog version of this episode at authormedia.com/472. I'm Thomas Umstattd Jr. saying thank you for listening and live long and prosper.